Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Metagame Show Host. That's Meta, M-E-T-A, hyphen game show host, not I met a game show host, which maybe one day I'll do, but for now, this is still just a joke I put at the beginning of the segment.
I would be impressed if you met a game show host during COVID.
Crazy things are happening, and Zoom is a wonderful platform to meet people on, I hear. I've actually never used Zoom, but, weirder things have happened in 2020. Hopefully some of them good.
Maybe I'll get you a cameo for Christmas. Does that count?
Oh, that sounds like fun. I mean, I'm very tempted to reach out to some of these game show hosts if I had just a little more prior planning, because, definitely today we're talking about Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, which is amazing. And as a kid, I loved the heck out of this show. But it definitely looks like it was just like one guy's passion project in his garage.
But now I want to know, where in the world is Greg Lee?
I also want to know where in the world is Greg Lee. But before we get into it, I'm Ricky. This is a good friend and fellow podcast host of Crew3 Podcast, Ruckman.
How's it going?
And we're here to dismantle, break down, and strategize to the best of our ability through any game show that we've come up with, whether it be for kids or off the air or both or rigged.
Or none, because I have so many questions about this show.
Oh man, this is a great one. This show is Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, aired in America, maybe in Canada, I don't know. But between the years of 1991 to 1995, my mom loves/hates this show because I watched it when I was 4, a bunch, and in syndication it was always on. Did you watch the show growing up? Do you remember the show at all?
I more so I'm a couple years younger than you, right?
Right.
So I more so remember the cartoon when it was coming out. Now, where I grew up, we didn't have really a lot of satellite and stuff like that. So I grew up on a lot of public access PBS programming because I grew up in the sticks of Ohio. So, PBS, because also my parents were really strict on age gating content, which, I think was pretty good. But, I'm not going to comment on parenting techniques, but, a lot of my TV time was PBS, so I'm sure I saw plenty of these episodes also on reruns, just that I really remember them.
It's definitely a wonderful show. One of the big things about it is that it is it's all a meta narrative, or it's very, very well lore based, as weird as that sounds. You're not just a contestant on a game show here to win prizes.
You're not just the kid that wandered into this old ancient Aztec temple.
Yeah, you're not that either. When was assigned a random color and this girl you don't know. Instead, you are a very, very poorly dressed gumshoe.
It was the 90s. That wasn't poorly dressed back then.
It's true. The outfits for the kids on this show, no one looks happy to be in it until they start winning, right?
Yeah.
But they're in this very, very 90s colored, almost patchworked together, noir detective trench coat thing.
It's pretty close to the green and blue and purple windbreaker you think of when you think of the 90s.
Right, that weird pink, green, black, white windbreaker. Yeah.
Yeah. If we're just a few wavy lines away from a styrofoam cup.
But essentially you've been recruited as a new gumshoe detective to track down a notorious criminal who has stolen normally something absolutely ridiculous that should not be stolen, like a baseball stadium or an entire mountain range or a pyramid.
Or a zoo of dinosaur statues. Yeah,
something, or Old Faithful. Mm-hmm. They stole a geyser. Hole in the earth, stole it. Anyways, these criminals are introduced as just these scummy people who work under the mastermind, Carmen Sandiego. And they have stolen something and taken it around the world, and we are chasing them. This is a geography-based game, and in the first round, you're going to be answering a lot of geography-based questions before we eliminate a kid. We go from 3 to 2.
So but I want to interrupt. I hope you don't mind me interrupting real fast. I do want to talk about the minor henchman we're tracking down, right? Can we swear on this show? Because I do want to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
Eartha Brute fucks.
all of these criminals. Let's just read a few off. I remember always Double Trouble. I think Double Trouble haunted my nightmares. Is these two suited up criminals? They look like Spy versus Spy almost.
Yeah.
Except they're like basically so pushed into each other that they're almost attached.
Yeah. The Contessa and Eartha Brute are interesting because if you watch the current Netflix cartoon show, those are the only two sub-villains that I've seen so far, because actually doing this and researching everything and rewatching the old shows, I was like, I'm going to go check out what the new show's about, right? Eartha Brute and the Contessa are like teachers at a school for Vile now, this Vile Academy. So they come back, but I haven't seen like Wonder Rat. I feel like Wonder Rat's the one. Eartha Brute and Wonder Rat, at least the episodes that I saw, happen the most often.
There's always like Patty Larceny, because that's the funniest joke that they've ever written. Yeah. And they're going to keep using it. Robo Crook is cool because it's a robot. It's a robot.
But anyway, why I say Eartha Brute fucks is that one of the episodes where they break down like, oh, they're running all across like this area, right? They mentioned that she went to West Point Academy where she finds boyfriends and then takes them to Niagara Falls because that's where honeymoons happen. And the chief is just like, she might have taken one of those West Point boys there. And I'm just like, damn, Eartha Brute fucks.
Did she steal West Point? That could have happened.
No, she just goes to West Point in between crimes, meets some young soldier officer in training, and then just bangs him and leaves him at Niagara Falls.
Well, and we'll get to this. I don't know why these people are recurring characters at all, because they all sell out Carmen Sandiego at the end of the show. All of them. Not a single one of them is loyal to their head criminal. But after round one, we will answer a bunch of questions. Want to know why they call me
Wonder Rat? Because it's a wonder why I rat out my boss.
Oh my gosh, Vic the Slick. Vic the Slick. That's a great name for a criminal. But yeah, Double Trouble and Patty Larceny are the two that always like stick out to me. Somebody's stolen something and we're going to chase them around the world in a nonsensical way too. It doesn't like follow the turn of the earth or anything like a normal chase does. It just, we go from place to place to place with a lot of like weird, like almost role playing going on in the middle. Mm-hmm. Like it's not like the host, who is amazing,
Greg Lee, the aforementioned Greg Lee,
and the chief are the two hosts.
He's the detective. What is he? The agent in charge of gumshoe training.
He's the agent in charge of gumshoe training, and he is not just going to like read you questions. He is going to literally step outside and ask random other Rockapella members.
Hold on. How did we go like 10 minutes without mentioning the Rockapellas yet?
Because I'm trying to give I'm trying to overview everything first, and then we'll go into the deep.
Then I'm sorry to keep interrupting. Go ahead.
Right. So we'll ask these weird questions. They're always going to be 3 choice questions. There's going to be about 6 of them, and then there's a final Jeopardy question. And there is going to be like either a lightning round or a chase round, which we'll get into more often, or we'll get to more when we go through round 1 more in depth. Mm-hmm. Round 2 is a memory game for the 2 remaining gumshoes. We're now in the city where the criminal has taken the loot, and like all good detectives, we have to obtain our warrant first.
No, you find the loot as proof of what they did.
As proof, and then once you have the loot, you can find the warrant. And then you have to find the criminal and arrest them with said warrant. Then you get to pull a big chain, and that's what puts them in jail.
So every episode, right, they have different voice lines, but there is a pre-can line that has every episode they get arrested.
Right. The arrested crook then will call the winning gumshoe and sell out Carmen Sandiego in the worst possible way by telling you 7 different countries in Africa that she might be in.
No. The criminal just says they're in this area, And then they hang up, and then the chief calls you again and is like,
the chief
here's
tells
where
you
they
what
could
7
be.
countries they could be.
Yeah.
So then you're giving 45 seconds on this giant map of Africa or Asia or the United States or Europe.
South America as well.
I have not seen a South America one.
There is South America. It's North America, South America, Asia, Europe, Africa. You are then given these little like lights on podiums, and you have to go place them on different countries, 7 of them in 45 seconds. And if you do that, it's 8.
8? It's 7.
8. In the first season, it's
8?
7. It's up to 8 in later seasons.
Jeez. In case the game wasn't hard enough. If you can accomplish that, what do you win, Ruckman?
So what Ricky failed to mention was after you catch the crook, you are handed a portfolio where you write down a location you wish to go. And if you win, you get to go, you and a parent get to fly to that location, destination of your choice. And then depending on the season, you got like various amounts of spending money, but they don't mention that on the show. They just say like you and a parent get to fly here. They also don't mention that you fly from New York.
It was only open to New York locals, I believe.
Yeah. And then of course
there are game shows that do that. They only open to like people of their city.
Sure. And then of course, this is all sponsored by the wonderful folks at Delta Airlines.
Delta Airlines.
Can you pipe in the John Mulaney bit, or just, hey, everyone, go look up John Mulaney Delta Airlines?
That's a pretty good bit for sure. That's the prize for winning. And God help you if you don't win.
I don't know. I think like second place or third, like second prize or third prize are fine for consolation. It's better than getting tuna fish in Legend of the Hidden Temple.
Hey, that's not canned tuna fish. You forgot to mention it's the fancy one in pouches.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, you get, if you are out first, to add insult to injury, you get an atlas and a watch. The atlas because you clearly don't know where countries are in the world. And then you get a watch, you get a Carmen Sandiego sweatshirt, which is actually really cool. I love the Carmen Sandiego design. It's a very good logo, very good just... It spawned a video games on part for
no, the video games are first.
No way.
Yeah, the video game started in like 85.
Wow. Well, it's a good character design.
Of course, some of the prizes would change between seasons. Like the watch was only seasons 1 through 3. It got replaced by like various other, like the stealth pen quarter was in season 5, and then in season 4 you got like an Acme voice identification badge and wallet.
If you win second place, they generally toss in either a pocket translator, sometimes a CD player, or something else of that nature. Generally, like a small electronic.
4 and 5, you got 2 secret senders, which were like pre-cell phones that were like they had like they were PDAs, but also they had like IR texting between another device. That's a similar thing, but also could be used as a TV/VCR remote.
Dope. If that's not the most 90s thing I've ever heard.
I actually looked up trying to buy one of these just to see how much they would cost. They're like $200 online right now.
Oh, jeez. The specific Carmen Sandiego ones, or just
the regular ones?
Just regular ones? Okay. So what we want is we want to win the first prize. We want to go anywhere in the lower 48 United States from New York and back for free.
No, because again, so I think you watched the earlier seasons, right? The stuff I watched
mostly early seasons.
Okay, the stuff I was watching to invest myself in the show and just do some research and get back into it was all season 5, I believe. So
I've seen a couple where they said anywhere in North America. Yeah,
I think that's when, I don't know when they started doing that, but season 5, a kid goes to Alaska and another kid goes to Canada.
Also, in some seasons, you write down what you want before the show begins.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But either way, I guess it's better than trying to make like a big decision in the middle of this nonsense of a game show.
Because there is some nonsense.
There's a lot of nonsense, but it's great nonsense. I'm never unhappy with it. Also, in the early seasons, the chief is way meaner. Oh, she's like very demanding.
Season 1 especially, because seasons 2 through 5 if you don't catch Carmen, you still get to be a sleuth. But in season 1, if you don't catch Carmen, she's just like super mad mom at you and is like, you're still a gumshoe.
Yes, exactly. In season 1, she's also like, it's not like you're winning this award. She's just like, I'm so mad at Carmen Sandiego. I'll give anyone a plane ticket anywhere if they can catch her.
Yeah, but in the later seasons, she's just like in on the joke. Like one of the episodes I watched, one of the interstitials where they go, because every episode they also give away T-shirts to people. You could write in for where the criminal was and what they stole,
right? To
get a shirt. And I just remember one of the episodes was just like, she's just a can of clean peaches.
What?
Yeah,
like they just replaced her.
No, she was just in a giant suit of cling peaches. Like, she was just dressed up as a can of cling peaches.
Why not?
Yeah.
There's also an episode where they inform us that they were not reaching proper puppet employment levels in their staff. And so some of the clues are just given out by really bad hand puppets.
If you aren't interested in the game show, just go watch this for the acid trip that are the interstitials.
The stuff that happens in between questions is absolutely bizarre. Let's get to it, because round 1 is the majority of the game. Honestly, round 2 and round 3 pass so fast. It's really most of the game is played in round 1, which is the questions round where there's 3 people, 3 kids come up, they're gumshoes, they get 50 Acme crime bucks to start their gumshoe career with. And they're going to be asked questions that are 3 answer multiple choice. Everybody who answers correctly gets $10. Everybody who answers incorrectly gets nothing. At the end of all of the 6 questions, there's generally 6 questions and a bonus round, you will have a Final Jeopardy-like moment where you're allowed to risk anywhere between 0 to 50 crime bucks in increments of 5. So you can't even risk all of
10. Later, it's just 10.
Later, it's just 10s.
Yeah.
You risk an amount, and then you answer another question, and you add that amount or subtract that amount, and then we pick the 2 winning kids. We pick a loser kid.
Yeah. And, like, sometimes this game, these kids... So we talked about, on the episode I was on with Legends of the Hidden Temple, how they had, like, a history exam.
Right.
They had to have, like, Jeopardy-level quizzes to see who gets to be on this show. Because these kids they're in some sort of, like, after-school geography contest team or something like that. Because the knowledge of some of these kids... And because then it's always just like whenever, because occasionally you just have a kid that just chokes right and they just get like nothing right. But more often than not, this game comes down to like a 5-point difference.
This also, all these questions are hard. If you did not, and we're going to get into it in the strategy, if you did not have the multiple choice options as an adult listening to these questions, I mean, I'd get them all wrong.
Yeah.
It's just
also, we didn't mention that when they introduce the kids, they all talk about like something they like to do, where they've been and things like that. And so I always love them because it's always like, here's Bobby, his parent, he's an immigrant from such and such. He's been here, he's been there, and he plays the mandolin. Now here's Steve. He's been to Florida.
That's a pretty big achievement this day and age.
Yeah.
You know, you laughed at him for being to Florida, but would you go to Florida right now?
No, you're right.
All right, yeah. Yeah, leave Steve alone, okay? He knew what he was doing. The question and answer with Greg, honestly, Greg is great at his job. Earlier we covered Hidden Temple, and let me tell you, there's some like top tier child host awkwardness when Kirk tries to talk to the kids about their hobbies. But like Greg is really good at it. Like he's like, "Oh, what do you like to do?" And he's like, "Oh, I read comic books." He's like, "You read comic books? I love comic books. What do you like to? Who's your favorite?" And Spider-Man. "Oh, I love Spider-Man. How is he doing these days?" "Great. He's got a black suit. Wow, I haven't read since then. I got to get on that." Right? It's like
take boom, a boom, shot boom. Every time he calls the kid buddy, though.
Buddy.
Which is great because he's really supportive, right? Especially in the final round. He's like, come on, buddy, you can do this, buddy. Come on, buddy, we got this. Come on, buddy.
I'd just like to say there's 295 episodes of the show on 5 seasons.
The energy never stopped.
That's just too many kids. At some point, you're just like, buddy. And you got to keep track of so much garbage. Like, the stuff he had to have memorized for all of his, like, bits.
Yeah.
Even if it's cue cards, it's still hard. So we will have the first 3 questions are given with big, like, oh, let's check the word on the street. And we go outside, and either a woman in a, like, upstairs window will yell geographical information, or, like, all of Rockapella will be surrounded around a word literally written on the street.
Okay, can we take a Rockapella break?
Let's take a Rockapella break.
This game show rules just because it has an in-house a cappella band.
Named Rockapella. They did the Folgers Coffee song. You know the one.
You know the one. And of course they do the Carmen Sandiego theme song. They do all the interstitial music that goes on in the background. And then when we get to it for the second round where they're on the board, right, and it's down to the 2 kids, they just have the dumbest lines for when they flip over the things.
Yeah, which I think when they find stuff.
Or when they don't find stuff, because they're just like say something ridiculous, I think mostly to make Greg laugh.
Right.
I feel like part of the show is just ribbing each other to see if they can make the other people laugh.
Yeah, or break. See if we can make Greg break.
Yeah.
And he does sometimes.
Also, shouts to Plastic Diver Guy.
Plastic Diver Guy. With, like, just everything on the show is so ridiculous. Sometimes we get our questions from a rapping grandma on a TV, like a cartoon rapping grandma. She will rap for you. And then there's always the wiretap, where we get a conversation between the villain and Carmen. And
then Greg's, like, background to when he was a gumshoe or a sleuth, back to his times in the past, where he gets intel from his informant, who's always just like, hey, there's something random. And he's like, that doesn't make sense. Turns around, there's the literal thing. Turns back and she's just gone.
There's one where the criminals stole the, like, hyper train from France, right?
Okay.
And one of the questions involves, like, somebody knocking on the door. He opens it, and it is his informant with a train just sticking out of his chest.
What?
He's just, like, falls into Greg's arms, and they go to the floor. And he's just like, I saw them. They were at this country with lake this and beautiful countryside known for their wine. And it's like, okay, that's 2. We need 1 more clue, buddy, to figure out this country. Oh, yeah. It's also like, this is the national language. And he's like, okay. Are you dead? No, I'm fine. And he stands back up. But they, like, do the whole, like, no, like, everything, like, all the lighting and stuff. It's just, like, way too much for just a trivia question.
Does every episode have the game where they just dig in a garbage can for a piece of paper?
Only in season 5.
Okay.
Only in season 5. I wasn't even going to bring it up because it's not relevant in my opinion.
But anyway, season 5, they, instead of, like, the weird interstitial, like, get the clue, well, they actually have it on top of that. This is like the break when they go and to say who won the t-shirts. The kids go outside, maybe to study because they're all reading newspapers. And I wonder if there's, like, extra information on the newspapers they can, like, freshen up on. And then they have 3 trash cans that you're all digging for a piece of paper with a flag on it. And that tells you either the like something about the location, like the national language, whatever, which is the same thing essentially that Ricky just did, but it's an extra game instead of it just being told to them.
Every question ultimately boils down to name the country. And they always give you 3 pieces of information, whether that be currency, language, a body of water, a landmark, or a capital city. They're going to give you 3 of those things. And no matter how you get that information, Greg will then summarize it up again.
Yeah.
And then, or even like north or west of things, he'll give, those are the most important clues in my opinion. And then he will show you on the board the 3 countries in question on the map. Mm-hmm. And then you will pick the country you think is correct. and you'll hold the little board up.
This is where you also wager, correct?
No, this is just every question.
Oh, okay. This. Okay, yeah. Well, but I feel like in the later seasons, he just asked the questions normal, and the weird, like, big interstitial, hey, here's where all the crazy clues come in, that's where the Final Jeopardy question is.
I mean, you really get like 2 or 3 of the interstitial bits every episode, just about. Whether it be the rockapellas really questionable about a vocabulary word, or the old lady across the street. Good luck
understanding the rockapellas singing the like clues about the location.
That's why Greg repeats all of them. Like they're hard to understand. Or the fly. The fly is the worst one.
Yeah.
There's like a big plastic fly on a stick.
What we're trying to say is this game show is an acid trip.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, some producer shoves this giant fly on a stick in all of the contestants' faces as it reads in a bad like accent, and not specific accent, just a random accent.
Oh, it's not just like here's a big buzzing bug sound?
It's like almost like a Pepe Le Pew almost accent.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, because he's the fly. I don't know. And he tells you about some country, and then Greg is like, oh, great. So anyways, river that goes east to west, local currency is like the franc.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not France, right?
Yeah.
And if any of these questions are in the United States, you're picking states instead of countries.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the freebies. You need to get those.
Yeah, and getting America will be important for the bonus game.
Oh, you got to get lucky and get America for the last game. But the main thing here, in my opinion, to getting these questions right is paying close attention to where the countries are located on the map.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, like the clues will go into be like, and is also closest to the North Pole, or also was really like to the direct east of France, and like I know where France is, right? Very much like Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
At least I know where France is.
Yeah.
So then I can then look and see which of the 3 is west of France, right?
Uh-huh.
Or east of France or wherever. And that is, I think, the most helpful thing to understanding these clues. You can't look at the other people's answers because you all answer at the same time. You just got to take your best guess with the clues you got and study every country that you can. Rivers are probably the most important thing to study. Because they ask always like rivers and lakes. And major lakes. It's hard information. Not going to lie. You got to be real smart on this show. Or just smarter than the dumb kid.
Yeah. Because you want to be at least the second highest money total going to the last round. That's the only thing the crime bucks matter for is, do you have at least the second most? You actually come to think about that, you actually want to be in second place when you go into the next round. Yeah, so when so you get to go second. Yeah, you actually get to go second. It is, you're right. Just like Pokemon, you want to go second.
The last question is always a Jeopardy style question where you are going to be shown like a region of the map, and it's like, hey, how well do you know this area? And it's going to show like the Bahamas or like New Zealand, Australia area, and you're going to be like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
And then you gamble some amount of crime bucks. The thing that's different about this from the normal Jeopardy question is that you can only bid up to 50. And because everybody starts with 50, everyone can max bid. Let me tell you, these kids do not max bid. They just don't.
Yeah, they're afraid. I mean, they're afraid, right? I mean, some of these things, like I said, a lot of the time it comes down to like 5-10 points. But we're talking
in last.
Yeah, you have to go for it.
Bet the 50. Just bet the 50 and you will win.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it doesn't matter how, like, the other kids never, like, seem to take into account the math of how they get caught and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like 20 and 30, occasionally 40 are, like, the most common ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one really does, like, 0 or 10, and no one, like, barely anyone goes for the 50.
I don't think there is a 0.
You can bet 0.
I've never seen anybody bet the 0. But
maybe not, but I thought you could bet 0, which if that's the case, I think a lot of kids, because maybe you can't bet 0. I thought he said you could bet 0, but I could be wrong here. Because if you do, I think if you're the lead kid, you just only have to bet enough so that the person in last won't pass you if they're correct, right? And you're wrong.
Right.
Because I've seen plenty of kids who they're like super in the lead. There's no chance they're going to lose if they bet like the lowest amount possible. But they're like 40 crime bucks. And it's like, no, kid.
There's 6 questions and then the Final Jeopardy. So your highest total score before Final Jeopardy could be 110 crime bucks. With the exceptions of if there's a lightning round, which they just ask multiple choice questions in succession, 3 of them. They're worth 5 points each, and you have to ring in to answer them.
After Greg gets brutally struck by a really dumb prop lightning.
Yes. Or the chase. Sometimes the chase will happen, which is 3 quick multiple choice questions, and they're generally about like the path through a country. Mm-hmm. So they're generally like cities, and it's just like you move from one country or from one state to the next in succession in a region for 3 questions.
Yeah.
If games happen that have those, you can score an extra 5 points if you sweep. So in those games, you can have a maximum of 115 crime bucks going into the Final Jeopardy question.
The highest total I think I saw a kid have in like the 10 or 15 episodes I watched to like reacclimate to the show was I think 105.
Yeah, I've seen like 105 going in. I've seen a bunch of hundreds going in. I like never see 110 going in.
The big thing is because everyone can score. It's not just it's not a single person wins. It's anyone who gets it right gets it right. Right.
You don't have to be fastest. You just have to be right. And there's no penalty for guessing wrong. So always just give your best guess. And you can always catch up in the last round. It's so unbelievable how close the games are because there's so few points. Especially starting with 50, which we'll get into why you start with 50. It's a remnant of the pilot.
Yeah, you blew my mind telling about the pilot before we started recording.
The pilot we'll get to after we get through everything because that'll just confuse people if we talk about it right now because it's so backwards and broken. Anyways, we get 50 crime bucks to start. So we go ahead, we make it into first or second place. That one kid gets his atlas and his watch and his t-shirt and he goes home. What happens now?
Well, now there's another dumb interstitial. Oh wait, you get teleported, right?
Well, you pick up a prop suitcase and put on a gumshoe hat,
and then you get modemed,
and then you walk to whatever city you're going to.
Well, in the later seasons, you get like teleported.
Oh, geez,
you get modemed.
Wow,
because the internet became a thing.
Modem does, yeah.
Because the internet became a thing then.
Generally, they just they do the little bit in seasons 1 and 2. They do the little bit where they go talk about the postcard and mailing in the postcard for your chance to win a T-shirt while sitting at home. And then when they check back, it's like, oh, and the chief and the 2 gumshoes should be arriving in Philadelphia right now, right?
Yeah.
So there will be a board, and the board is going to have mostly squares, but some rectangles. They are not a perfect grid, which is important because it makes it harder to remember. But it's going to be about roughly, I believe, 20 spaces.
I'm looking at a board right now. It looks like it's usually, so it's set up to be a 4x4, but sometimes rectangles can make it a 4x3 in certain places. Type like 3. Right. Usually they have 4 or 3 to a row, and there's always like 4 rows. So between, we'll say, like 12 and 18 different squares. These squares are completely random. They've got different landmarks of the city that you went to, which is cute, but that doesn't matter. And you will be given a whole slideshow presentation learning all about the city because we got to educate the kids at home. If you're on the show, you're already well educated because these questions are hard. And you are taking turns flipping over like a memory game the different locations. What you're trying to find is there is the loot, the warrant, and the criminal. The warrant!
Hidden behind 3 of them, right. And they don't move. So once you find it, you know that you have it. and you have to get them all in that order. Loot.
The warrant.
There we go. And criminal.
So one thing that's important, though, so you say they always stay there, right? But right. Greg is always just like, oh, let's see if the warrant's still there.
I know he is. He's selling it as much as he can. These kids get so tired of him in this bit because, like, they have to wait for the Rockapella people to do their little dumb gag before they can answer again. Especially once two have been found, right? Once you found, like, the loot and the warrant, every kid just goes,
the warrant,
you know, Central Station, like ice rink, and Greg's like, you gotta slow down. But
yeah, we pay them by the word. They gotta get paid. I gotta make sure my boys get paid.
And if you find a non-blank tile, so it has any of the three things you're looking for, you get to go again.
As long as they're in the right order, though.
In season 1 and 2, it doesn't matter if they're in the right order.
Oh.
I mean, you have to get them in the right order. But if you run into the criminal, if you run into Miss Patty Larceny herself, even though she's what you need last, they still allow you to guess again.
Okay.
So here's the strategy. It's a pretty simple memory game, and none of the kids... Occasionally, the kids will lose track of the stuff.
Yeah.
It happens. It's a crazy show.
It's been a long day as well. Who knows how long they've been filming already.
And for the most part, though, your opponent's not going to forget where anything is. So you don't want to be showing them anything you don't have to show them. Believe it or not, I believe the best strategy is to keep guessing a blank space until you know where the loot is.
I agree, yeah.
The actual way to play this game is really lame. And it's really funny because I've seen one kid sort of almost use this strategy before, where it's like he flipped the warrant first. We didn't know where the loot was. And they go, guess again. And he just guesses whatever the place he guessed the time before. And Greg's like, oh, I think we've been there before, but let's check, right? Like making fun of him. But that kid is using perfect strategy. Because if you are out of order, guessing at random spaces is just going to give your opponent more information.
Yeah, because you want our opponent to not pick up on that, so then we could get things in the right order and win.
Now, once two things have been found...
Then it's just who has the best luck.
Literally any two. It doesn't matter which two they are. If we know where the criminal and the loot is, you will start by guessing where the loot is, and then you will guess a random spot. And if you find the warrant, then you win.
The warrant.
But you don't want to give your opponent the first shot at the two. So you want to go second, right? Because second place gets the second guess. You get more information, right? And there is the chance that your opponent goes first and they hit loot, warrant, and criminal, just 1, 2, 3. It's really low odds, and that could happen. But it's not gonna happen. It's way better to sit back. Your opponent's gonna go first, and they're gonna reveal where the warrant is. And then now you know where the warrant is, so you're gonna guess a place. Hopefully it's blank. If it's blank, then you know that's where you're guessing for the rest of the time. And wait for your opponent to either find the criminal or the loot. Now, if they find the loot, they are going to get to go loot and warrant and then try to guess. But, you know, it's still the right strategy to sit and not give more information. Because if you guess and find the criminal for them, then they get it faster.
Yeah.
So this is a information gathering game in which you only want to receive information and you don't want to give information.
Yeah, and so get all your matching cards out. That's just practice. But in between, take like 10-minute breaks from your Atlas. Go get out the flip and match cards.
The person who does find all of the things in the right order gets to arrest the criminal, which is very satisfying.
Pulling a chain,
it makes a big sound, and then Rockapella sing a little song about putting somebody in jail. Sometimes you get to write down where you want to go when the Rockapella comes out and goes, "Where do you want to go?" And then after that, you go to the last round, which is the map.
Which is where, again, the two I remember are Wonder Rat being like, They call me Wonder Rat because it's no wonder I'd sell out my boss. Carmen's in Africa. Or Eartha Brute is like, I want to go to school while I'm in jail, but they said they don't have preschool classes. Tell Carmen to get me out of here. She's in Asia.
Or RoboCrook will just give you the cold hard truth of, according to my programming, it is advantageous to cooperate with you and sell out Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
She is in the United States. Which is what you want to hear. The things you want to hear more than anything ever is that Carmen is in the United States.
Or North America.
Because then you've got a goddamn chance.
Because again, to remind everyone, this part is a just sprint of Greg reading off a location. So after the chief goes like, okay, they're in this area, they're in like this continent. Here's a list of like 10 places.
They could be.
And then Greg just has a list that says, okay, they're in Lake Okeechobee. Where's Lake Okeechobee? Go, 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 go. As you have 45 seconds to grab this just siren light on a pole, plop it down in the right place. You usually get, like 2 chances on it, and if you're wrong both times, he just moves on to the next one.
Yes, you can come back to it. A fun fact, you won't get to come back to it because 45 seconds is not enough time to run on this giant map, especially if you get Africa, you're so done.
I think Africa and like Asia are the hardest.
Like, not just so in Asia, there's difficulty with countries, especially Africa also,
because Asia also includes like India and all the Middle Eastern countries as well.
Right, but the big thing is like the Africa map is just longer.
Yeah,
which the America map is of course like side by side,
but also it has Canada into Central America.
Yeah, but some of them they're just the states.
All the North American ones, maybe again the map changed, sure. But later on it would be Canada, America, in Mexico into Central America.
Jeez, that's going to be harder. But you don't have to run as far south on the map because that's what really kills you because it gets you the furthest away from where you have to go back.
Yeah, and then especially in the later seasons because they only start with 7 locations, but then it goes up to 8. Yeah. And so really, if you miss one, you're done, son.
I think Europe is honestly the easiest map. Mm-hmm. Other than America.
North America is good because you have a better idea because usually most of them are in the States and there's going to be like, where's Toronto? Where's Montreal? Where's like the one or Texas. 2 place? Yeah. Then where's like a state in Mexico or where's a state in Central America? And like, that's it. It's like, where's the Panama Canal?
But, you got to drop these. Like some of these countries are really small,
mm-hmm.
And they pick like the smallest countries sometimes on this giant map, and you got to get that thing right in there.
And luckily they do have like clearly they're marked where the pole should go if it's going to be in that spot,
right?
So you at least have some idea of like, okay, well I know it's in like a country around here. Okay, where's the dot to place a pole? Okay, there it is. But you really don't have time to sit there and scan because just sort of like we talked about Legend of the Hidden Temple, if you stop to look, you're done. You have to just keep on moving. It doesn't matter if you break one of these flimsy markers.
They will break. Let them break. They don't have to like turn on or anything. Somebody plays a yes noise somewhere. You can't wait for it either. You just have to pick it up and put it down and be heading back.
That broken light pole won't keep you from going to Nashville, Tennessee at the end of this.
If it buzzes wrong, the best strategy is not to pick it up and think. It's literally just to move it one space, move it to the next space. Once it's wrong twice, you can move on to the next pole.
Yeah.
But you're probably done. If you get any of them wrong and have to reposition, you're probably done. You need to be running right back or you're just not going to get there.
The wins are never blots. They're always within like 2 seconds left.
Right. Nobody ever like just steamrolls this thing.
Because you're so tired. You're wearing your jeans and your windbreaker. It's just hot. You've been there a long day.
It is. Yeah, it's it's a lot of running, honestly.
Yeah.
If you don't make it, they do give you another like CD player or something that's a little cooler and less educational themed. Generally, they give you like the CD player, but to make it educational, they give you a bunch of like world music CDs.
Oh, let's not forget you also get like a year subscription to National Geographic.
Oh yeah, National Geographic year subscription. Rockapella loves reading the National Geographic albums because they are always posing with them.
Yeah.
Or the magazines, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're one of like the big, them and Delta Airlines are the two big sponsors of the show.
Right. I mean, it's got to be, I think PBS is also involved, right?
I mean, it's a PBS production, so.
Yeah. Definitely a very crazy final round. As we found out with all these kid shows that we're getting into now, the final round is just absolutely garbage. You're not made to win it.
No, which is why, like, I honestly, compared to like Legends of the Hidden Temple, I think the consolation prizes are still really good, even if you don't. That's why I like this show refers to this as the bonus round and not like the actual final round.
Right. That's why you win when you put somebody in jail, and later the chief is not as mean to you. You know, later when you lose, the chief is just like, you still got Double Trouble back in jail where they belong for a long time until next week. And, we're not going to send you away empty-handed. You become a sleuth for Acme Crime Net and all this stuff. But, like, in Season 1, if you fail the bonus round,
she's not happy.
She's like, Carmen Sandiego, I'll get you next time. How dare you, Gumshoe? You ruined the whole... Our net was cast, all this stuff.
Well, Chief, maybe you shouldn't have a rookie.
Yeah, maybe. What about Greg? Why didn't Greg help me? Well, I thought you had it once you got that other criminal in jail and stole back the Taj Mahal.
I don't know how we didn't just find them on satellite where the Taj Mahal was. It can't be like they hid it in their back pocket.
Yeah. Well, I think Eartha Brute is always funny because it's the only character I believe just actually picked something.
Picked things up. The one of them I watched, I think it was the Contessa stole. I want to call it the Pink House, but I think it's like the capital house of like Argentina or something like that.
Yeah,
where she just got a bunch of cattle and just the cattle pushed. They took Bikini Bottom and pushed it somewhere else.
Oh my god. I think Top Grunge just attaches his bike to stuff.
Yeah.
Robo Crook just takes stuff because he's Robo Crook.
Yeah. And of course, Eartha Brute just takes young studs from West Point.
Double Trouble just picks things up. Like, they just are a perspective joke.
Uh-huh.
You know, like they just walk at the train and the train's not really that big and they just pick it up and walk away with it.
Yeah,
it's really weird. They're terrifying. Don't look at Double Trouble. Do not go find images of Double Trouble from Carmen Sandiego. They will haunt your nightmares. I just don't know what it is about that one character.
But do go check out Eartha Brute R34.
Oh, no. Don't say that. No. Anyways, we've got a prize to deal with because we are going to have taken all the advice in round 2 and we've studied really hard in our Carmen Sandiego Atlas that we won by sending in our postcards before even getting on the show. So now we've won. Somehow we just got lucky in the United States Challenge and we won it. Where are we going?
So the big thing here, right, is it's only for you and one other parent.
Right.
And they do give you a little bit of money if I can find the breakdown of what you got each season, because it did go up over time. I think it's actually where the show ended. Okay, so here it is. So season 1. Okay, so for each trip, the winning sleuth, their parents, and a guest flew round-trip coach from New York City to the selected location. The sleuth spent 1 week at a hotel chosen by the chief. Later in season 4, the contestant stayed in the hotel of their choice. A rental car was provided, included since season 3, provided by Toyota. Oh, we got another sponsor.
Hey.
The contestants also received $250, which was increased to $500 in the second season, then to $750 in the first half of the final season, then to $1,000 in the second half of the final season. The trip anywhere in the lower 48s to North America was really apparently they we're actually given a list of places to go.
Oh, really?
It says here the trip to anywhere in the lower 48 states / North America was really chosen from a list of possible destinations. The winning sleuth generally wrote down the identifying state, province, or country. Occasionally they identify the city as well.
So that makes sense, actually, because Delta Airlines only goes so many places, right?
Sure. But let's do this because we don't have the list, right?
Right, so we're going to do this like the kids do, and we're just going to write stuff down in the notebook.
Yeah.
So, and we have to remember we're going from New York. We are New York locals if we're doing this. We got to mark New York City off the map. We've already seen that.
Yeah.
So we don't have Disney World money, but we got some tourism money. So I did my research on this, and I looked up the cities with the most free tourist attractions, like museums and art exhibits and like cool stuff to just walk around and look at. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but San Antonio and Austin, Texas are pretty high on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that those are going to be also a pretty decent distance from New York, so you're getting your money there.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that I think that San Antonio or Austin, Texas would be one of the best places to go if you found Carmen Sandiego, followed by San Francisco, which gets you just the most distance you can get.
Okay, yes. San Francisco, I spent like a week around Stanford and San Francisco, and that's actually like a month. But San Francisco, I think, is a really good pick. I think San Diego as well. There's a lot of stuff to do in San Diego.
Well, hopefully not Carmen's not there because she'll want revenge.
Sure.
Because I tracked her down.
Yeah.
So we can't go to San Diego on principle.
Sure.
If you are on one of the seasons where you can go anywhere in North America, I'm just going to tell you, as somebody who's been there, go to South Alaska. Any of the southern islands in South Alaska, Sitka, Ketchikan, or Juneau. Juneau is the capital of Alaska, so that's probably a place Delta Airlines might fly.
Mm-hmm.
Alaska is absolutely beautiful, and that's free. Stuff will be expensive there, like food and stuff, but
yeah.
Hey, that's what the walking around money is for, and it's just an amazing experience for sure, and definitely kid friendly because, like, we can't go to Las Vegas because we're 12.
Yeah.
So I do think that like Austin or San Antonio is a great option, San Francisco, and then Alaska.
Okay.
What you got?
So my picks aren't going to sound quite as exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you, as a Midwest boy, I know a lot of good places to go around like that Ohio-ish kind of area, right?
Sure.
And actually, if we do want to, like, we don't have Disney World money, but we definitely have money to go to like a lesser but still good amusement park. So we could go to, say, like Cleveland, where we can go to places like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Football Hall of Fame isn't super far away from there. And then it's a pretty quick trip to Sandusky to go to Cedar Point.
In your Toyota rental car?
Yeah. We could go to like Columbus or Cincinnati, which are pretty close drives to Mason, Ohio, to go to Kings Island, which Kings Island at the time, especially like when the show is airing, you had like the Beast and the Son of Beast. And unfortunately, before those rides closed, I got to go on them before they closed. And let me tell you, Kings Island is probably my favorite non-Disney or like Universal theme park I've been to. And then there's plenty of like, there's actually like a lot of cool stuff that obviously like your museum, stuff like that you're talking about. Even though you said don't do it on principle, for like a young kid, if we go like San Diego has like a really cool zoo with a really famous like gorilla exhibit. Also Legoland, which is really
Isn't
easy.
Legoland part of Disney?
No, it's not.
Okay, fair enough. So it's a separate place?
It's a separate place. Well, it's in San Diego.
I don't know how California works.
Disneyland's in Anaheim, which is like an LA suburb.
Okay. Fair enough.
Like Legoland, and Legoland's also pretty easy to get like free kids tickets. Usually if you sign up for like the Lego Club, you got a free ticket into Legoland and like all this kind of stuff. If you're like 10 years old at the time, like I'm sure Legoland would be super hype and pretty reasonably to get into.
I think that sounds like a pretty good trip. I do know that Harry Potter hates Ohio.
Well, good thing I'm not Harry Potter.
I have been to the Football Hall of Fame, and that is really cool to see. So that's definitely dope. You know what? You sold me on an Ohio trip. That sounds actually pretty good. I thought I was going to be laughing at you this whole time.
Yeah.
But that sounds like a fun trip to Ohio. It sounds like the most fun anyone has ever had in Ohio. But
as someone who lived in Ohio for 12 years, can confirm.
But that's the best way to spend the prize, which is, I think, the first time we've had to talk about like optimizing prize spending.
Yeah.
I'll try to find more shows where we can like get different weird prizes and the prize is a game in itself.
Can we talk about old Wheel of Fortune where you had to pick stuff from your money equivalent out of the prize wall?
Oh no, prize walls. Possibly. We might get there. There's also, it makes me think of this, there's this one kids game show that I don't remember the name of, but it's essentially like, I think it was like the Newlyweds game, but for like siblings.
Oh, okay.
And like the final round is like a prize wall where you're allowed to pick 5 prizes.
Sure.
And then your sibling goes and picks 5 prizes, and you only win the prizes that you both picked.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah. So that sounds pretty dope. But
yeah.
Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? A great experience. Is it a great game show? I'm going to say yes for the experience. As far as the questions are concerned, the amount of strategy you can have, I do think there is some strategy in the second round. In the first round, it's just all about that geography knowledge. There's a few tricks you can use and some betting strategies. But for the most part, you just got to know your atlas inside and out.
Yep.
What else are you going to do?
The bonus round, cardio.
The bonus round is so impossible. I watch so many kids fail this bonus round. They go home with a CD player, which, I've also seen kids win everything, and they took a trip to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It's like, kid, that's like a 30-minute car ride.
That's where Grandma lives, though.
I know it's where Grandma lives. They always say that. They're always like, I want to go to Vermont because that's my grandma, and that's adorable. It's really adorable, and that's great. But you don't need to fly to Vermont if you live in New York City. Just drive if your parents own a car. I guess that's sort of important. And the point is, you could go anywhere and you just went to go see Grandma. That makes good television.
Yeah.
Anyways, after win or lose, what happens after the bonus round?
Do it, Rockapellas!
Yeah, exactly. The Rockapellas come out and they just acapella the heck out of everything.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Very good theme music. I think they paid the band more than they paid anything else.
Yeah.
In this show. I love this show. The show is a lot of fun. Rewatching it has been crazy. Also on just all like the really garbage 90s VHS recordings. 240p
every video. I was like editing our podcast, editing like the Magic podcast and some other like YouTube content I do, right? And it was a better viewing experience when I had it as the small picture-in-picture than I did watching it full size.
Oh yeah. So some fun facts. Show won 7 Emmys. And was nominated for 1 million Emmys.
Just all of the daytime Emmys.
It won Outstanding Achievement in Art Direction, Set Direction, Scenic Design.
Okay.
It won a Peabody Award. It won Outstanding Achievement in Art Direction, Set, and Scenic Design again the next year. Outstanding Art Direction, Set, Scenic Design.
Okay.
Outstanding Art Direction, Scenic Design. Outstanding Live and Tape Sound Mixing. And Outstanding Art Direction. They won a lot of art awards. And this set is art, for sure. Also,
the set is pure 90s.
Right. Canada and Télé-Québec produced a French language version called Mais où se cache Carmen Sandiego, which translates to but where is Carmen Sandiego hiding?
Oh.
Which is wonderful.
And then, hey, the sequel game show, Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego? Nowhere near as close to being good.
Nowhere near as close to being good? I haven't even watched that. Is it all like 2000s-ish?
No, because it was only made. It was like Y2K era. It was actually in like the last couple years of the 90s.
Oh man, I bet they still chromed everything.
The problem is the rockapellas aren't there.
Oh well, that's your whole soul, right?
Yeah.
I mean, did they at least keep did they at least keep Greg?
No, the host is different too.
Oh, even the chief?
The chief's still there.
Oh well, okay. She's pretty good. I like the chief quite a bit.
Especially when she got nicer at the end.
Yeah, I actually like the mean chief. It's sort of funny because it's like, God damn it, Greg, bring me Carmen Sandiego, and he's just like, I can't.
Boss, they're 10.
He's just like,
you're scaring the kids.
How do you not know how incompetent I am by now?
Okay, one of the weirdest interstitials was they were getting ready for the Acme Crime Net soup contest.
Sure.
And the chief is making like a regular soup. Cut to Greg like wiping his armpits, wringing that in the soup, like scraping his shoes with a cheese grater, and just like being genuinely disgusting. And then the chief, like he submits that, and then the chief is, as they're wheeling it away, you think the chief is like, oh no, stop, thinking she's gonna like take the soup off the cart. No, she dips her spoon in it and goes, I think he might have a chance of winning.
Yep, that makes sense to me. That's the joke to say there. It's a heck of a show. Ruckman, do you think you could win Carmen Sandiego?
Could I win now? Probably not. Could I win when I was 10 years old just hitting random on Wikipedia? Probably not, because I was still fat and couldn't run very fast. But I can make it to the final.
Right. I'm going to say right now that I think I could make it to the final. I don't even think I can get 4 right in the final. I'm not going to lie. I need to make it like I would skin my teeth into the second round.
Yeah.
I think I shine in the second round, and then that third round is just impossible, especially for me. It's not happening. I could not win Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, hold on. We glossed over my favorite thing about this show.
What?
Which is that at the end of every episode, there is the clause that geographical locations were accurate at the time of filming.
That is because the show was filmed in 1990 and 1991 and then aired in 91 and 92.
And then went on to be until 1995 for the initial run. And what happened during those years? Well, a little thing called the Soviet Union collapsed, creating a whole bunch of new countries.
And some of the countries that the kids named didn't exist or were where other countries should have been. And you know what? They were right at the time. These kids were still super smart.
Boy, that would suck if you were the kids, like, during the country transition of, like, you were right last week, kids, sorry.
I mean, there's 300 episodes, 295 episodes in 5 seasons, right?
Yeah. We definitely hit that syndication
I think
mark.
this was a grinder.
Yeah.
I bet you, like, at least, like, 10 episodes a day.
Probably, yeah.
Not 10 episodes a day, but like probably like at least like 6 episodes a day. This was just a grinder of kids.
Yeah, they probably filmed like 5 episodes a day for like 3 months out of the year.
Like they're probably only in production for 2 weeks for each season.
I don't know, maybe. Like Jeopardy does that though, right? Like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, they just film for like 3 months at a time.
I think Jeopardy does that. I know that Millionaire did that for sure. But like most of these, like especially the kids game shows, they're like on for like 2 weeks and then they're gone forever. So that's like the big Double Dare thing. The first time they made Double Dare, they like filmed everything in 2 weeks and then they just left the studio and didn't come back till 6 months later, and like nobody cleaned it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And like they just had all the spoiled like everything, and slime just hardened onto the floor. They just like were considering just condemning the studio.
Yeah, I forgot about that. All right, so do you want to break down the horrendous pilot of this show before you wrap things
real
up?
Real quick, in the pilot, to get further into character as a gumshoe, you were given 125 crime bucks to start the show as your travel budget. Every question you answered right made you lose $10 in plane tickets, and if you got it wrong, you lost $15 to catch a connecting flight. You needed to have the most money at the end, so you were like scoring downwards. Like even when you got it right, you were losing. You were just slowly draining money like normal society. Really just too tough of a wake-up call for kids and impossible to follow.
Yeah.
Most of the kids were just absolutely confused by the scores. They had no clue.
Yeah, I do like the change because I think it is kind of interesting because really that first round when we cut the first kid, it really does come down to that final Jeopardy question.
Always comes down to the final Jeopardy question.
Which is nice because it feels like every kid like has a chance, right? Like it feels bad if you like miss the question and you're the lead and lose, right? But it does make the game feel like
tight.
Every kid has a chance.
Right. And giving them the $50 at the beginning makes them feel like a winner even when they're losing. Like even when you get the first two wrong, you still have 50 points on your little board.
Yeah.
So it feels better than having a 0. So
yeah, and then of course you got Greg calling you buddy the whole time.
Right, exactly. Great show.
Next time you get a chance to visit, if we can make that happen safely at some point. Maybe we do try take a shot every time he says buddy.
Oh, that sounds like a good time. Anyways, this has been a lot of fun. We talked a lot about Carmen Sandiego, a great child's game show. Still impossible to win the grand prize, just like in Legends of the Hidden Temple. Maybe one day we'll find a fair game for kids, but probably not.
I think Guts.
Guts.
Which I don't think is a game you could. Guts is a game you probably can't do on the show because there's like no strategy, right?
Right. There's no strategy at all.
So, but hey, if anyone out there listening had a piece of the aggro crag and still does, hit me up. I want in.
At also Steve.
At Crew3 Podcast.
I just want to talk to you. You can sell your radical rock to Ruckman, but I just want to talk to you about it. Anyways, I've been Ricky for Metagame Show host, and this has been
Ruckman with Crew3 Podcast.
Excellent. This has been a great time. Thanks for coming on, Ruckman.
Yeah. Hopefully you keep bringing me on for all the kid throwback shows, and then let me know if you ever cover MXC.
Let me tell you. I'll let you know if we cover MXC.
Or the challenge, just to make Chris mad.
There we go. We're ready. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.